Hello, if you would like to find out why gel polish might peel, crack or chip and how to fix that, this video is just for you. My name is Anastasia. About 4 weeks ago I posted a video of top 10 mistakes of beginner nail techs and received a request from Tiffany Brown. She asked if I can do the same video but from a technical standpoint, and here's the video. I decided to begin from gel polish. If this is your first time here, I recommend you to subscribe so you won't miss my future tutorials, tips and tricks and videos just like this one. Number 1 is any kind of spot treatments before applying gel polish. No doubt that oils and creams, they're very good for our skin and our nails, but not before applying gel polish. If we will apply them, we will end up with a surface that's not possible to prep for applying of the gel polish. To create a good adhesion, we always need a dry, clean surface, but if there is some oil or moisture in it, it just won't be possible. The same as if your client came and she just applied her hand cream on her hands, I would suggest to ask her come wash her hands with a soap and then you can continue the service. If she would like to have some spot treatment, cuticle oil, etc., it's fine, but only after gel polish application. Also, sometimes cuticle removers, they contain alpha hydroxy acids and other ingredients. Sometimes they are not properly removed from the nail plate, and this also might cause peeling or lifting. So if you used cuticle remover, make sure that you completely removed it from the nail plate using dehydrator. Number 2 is that the cuticle is not properly cleaned from the nail plate. It's still on there. It's really tricky sometimes because when it spreads on the nail plate, it's actually transparent, so we can't really see it. But once we start pushing it back with the cuticle or with the orange wood stick or using remover, we can see that it's actually white. Even though it is non-living tissue, leaving that on the nail plate will definitely cause lifting. Unlike the nail plate, the cuticle actually works like a sponge, so it will absorb all water, moisture from everywhere every time you take a bath or wash the dishes, and then it will simply inject this water and moisture under the gel polish, and that's why it will peel. Make sure that you leave a completely dry and clean surface with no cuticle on it. Number 3 is not filing the free edge. You know, there are some clients that are so desperate about their length of the nails. They're like, no, I want them to grow as long as possible. Please leave this length and don't file them, like don't touch them. And yeah, I can understand that. I also have clients like that. But the thing is that all oils, they usually stay on the free edge. So when we take off the surface shine, we clean the surface of the nail plate. But what's with the free edge? Will it remain dirty? And then when we cap the free edge, it just won't adhere. So even if a client has really short nails or she doesn't want to change the length, you need to do at least couple moves back and forth with your file to clean the free edge. Number 4, it's very common, but I've seen this mistake so many times, is when the nail underneath is not cleaned, especially when the client has some long nails. Let me ask you a question. What do we usually refer when we say to somebody like, oh my god, like what a dirty nails you have? Where is the dirt located? Usually under the free edge, right? Somewhere here. So why don't we clean it properly? When we're taking off the surface shine, when we're applying dehydrator, it's really important to apply it not only on the top of the surface of the nail plate, but also underneath, because all of the dirt contaminants, they're actually there. And yes, we will not apply gel polish underneath, but we will cap the free edge, applying the base, and the top coat won't be clean enough underneath. It just simply will not be sealed properly, and then the product will start to peel right from the free edge or from the corners. Number 5 is dehydrator. Do not neglect using dehydrator. I personally prefer Nail Pure Plus by NSI, and there are many of them out there, but never ever skip this step, as dehydrator removes the excess moisture from the top layers of the nail plate, which makes it better and easier to adhere. So if you will skip this step, you will simply have the surface of the nail with all of its moisture and oils on it. And I've seen some systems which are like you don't have to prep the nail, like you can take this magical gel polish and apply it right on the top of the nails. Okay, well, we know what we are doing during the day. Sometimes we're cooking, sometimes we're cleaning, and just imagine that everything that you've been through the day, all the small particles, they actually get stuck in the top layers of the nail plate. So we need to clean it to have the clean surface, to have a good adhesion. If we won't, well, some peeling might appear. Number 6, it's actually not a rule, but just a tip. So I am applying non-acid gel primer to the free edge of the clients if they have thin nails, if they have overfiled or damaged nails, and for the clients who have extra peeling of the free edge of their nail. And actually, the function of the gel primer is to create a good adhesion between gel and nail plate, but as the result, we won't be able to soak it off. So do not apply primer on all of the surface on the nail plate, only on the free edge. And when you will soak it off, usually we still file the nails or we remove the length, so it's actually okay if it won't be soaked out, but do not apply it on all of the nail. Also, I do not recommend to use it all the time because normally your clients won't really need that, but if you see that her nails are really thin or they were overfiled or they were not properly removed before, then try this. Just a small line of gel primer on the free edge and then continue the service. Number 7 is thick application of base coat, of color, and of the top coat. So base coat should be applied very, very thin, as is it actually an adhesion layer. The same for the color, especially the first coat. The first should be very thin, the second might be a little thicker, but still not thick enough. If we will apply color too thick, we will end up with a really messy application, and also the color might not completely cure. Applying top coat very thick is only bad for the overlook of the nail, so I would not recommend that. Also, when you are capping the free edge with the base or with the top coat, make sure that you make it as thin as possible. Do not apply it too much, as it will definitely cause peeling from the free edge. Number 8 is do not capping the free edge of the base and top coat. So for color, it's really up to you. When you apply base coat, you need to cap the free edge and the side walls if the nails are long. You need to do the same with the top coat, but with the color it's optional. I usually look at the client's nails, so if she has a thick nails and you apply this red gel polish and then you can see this thick line of her free edge which doesn't look very nice, then yeah, you can slightly cap it. But if their nails are really thin or they're not really any length and it just doesn't make sense, don't waste your time. Only seal it with a base coat and with the top coat. Number 9 is under curing. When the product, especially the color, sometimes base, sometimes top coat, is not fully cured. And usually it happens not because the nail technician is like, okay, I decided to cure them for 5 seconds instead of 30. No, usually just the lamps are not powerful enough. So 9-8 watts are not enough to cure in the UV lamps most of the modern gel polish brands. The same as for LED lamps. There are tiny, those mini lamps, travel size, etc., but usually they're not powerful enough to fully cure the gel polishes. So you need at least 36 watts for UV lamps and 18 watts for LED, but it really depends on the product and on the brand. So you always need to ask your manufacturer what's the recommended power for your lamp. And also, if you are still using UV lamps, make sure that you replace them properly, usually after 4 to 6 months. It depends on how many clients do you have. And the tricky part about it is that when the lamp is not working anymore, it will still look like it's working. I mean, it will still have this blue-green light and you just won't be able to tell. But the first symptoms are when, for example, top coat is not as shiny, when it becomes dull or cloudy. Maybe that's the first sign it's time to replace your bulbs. Number 10 is applying base color or top coat too close to the skin that it's actually touching it. So this is obvious that we're not supposed to apply our gel polish all over the skin, but sometimes it's really small. I mean, even one small drop will actually cause lifting from this area because the nail won't be sealed anymore. As we already know, the product will not adhere to the skin. It can only adhere to the nail plate. So if you see that some of the base coat is already on the skin, clean it with the orange wood stick before curing in the lamp. If you will leave it like that, then the color and the next coat of the color and the top coat will all want to go there because product always magnetized to the same product. If for some reason you cured it already well, it really depends on the area, but it's really tricky to fix it now. Sometimes you need to soak it off, or if you know how to use e-file, sometimes I take my old diamond bit and can file it a little, but it's always better to double to triple check before curing in the lamp and make sure that none of them go closer to the skin. If you are not skillful enough to apply it really close, then it's always better to leave a gap between the cuticle and the side walls. If you don't like this look, I also have a tip for you. You can take a small brush, number 1 or 0, I'm using synthetic one, and carefully create this perfect line near the cuticle and then cure. One which actually involves clients. So this is when clients are sitting and then they lean on their cheek. So basically they touch the prepped nails. And this is the rule. Do not ever allow your clients to touch the prepped nails, and they will actually put back all these oils and moisture back to the nail plate. And sometimes it's tricky because, okay, if she leaned on her lipstick or on her BB cream or highlighter, it's pretty easy to see, like we can see, oh, what's that glitter on your nails? But sometimes it's not as obvious if she touched them just slightly. Make sure to give good instruction to your clients. After you prep, tell them that they are not supposed to touch them and keep an eye on them. You know, sometimes they're doing this unintentionally, but I believe even though the clients did it, it's overall our fault. We are in charge. We need to keep an eye on the client and make sure they are following our instructions. Next one is when the nail has a crack. You first need to fix it before applying gel polish. If you will leave it like that, then we will end up with a crack in the same area. So there are many ways how to fix the crack. You can use the fiber, you can use silk, you can use acrylic or gel, you can use some special glue, but never leave it like that because after just few days we will end up with a crack at the same area. And the last one is mixing brands of all gel polishes, especially top coat, color, and base coat. So companies usually design the base coat and the color and the top coat so they will perfectly work together. And sometimes by mixing them we might get in trouble. And I'm not saying that it's not possible and it's not allowed, that's what I do most of the time, but you need to do some research and test it first. Because some base coats, they're really soft, some are really hard. The same as for the top coats. So I recommend to take at least base and top coat of the same brand. And what comes to the color, it really depends. Do your research and test it on yourself first, see how it's actually going, and then you can apply it on your clients. These were my 13 reasons why gel polish might not last, an explanation how to avoid them. If you have more reasons why your gel polish is peeling or chipping, feel free to ask in the comments. Do not forget to subscribe so you won't miss my videos in the future, and I'll see you next time. Bye! Received a request from Tiffany Brown. She asked if I can do the same video but from a technical standpoint, and here's the video. I decided to begin from gel polish. If this is your first time here, I recommend you to subscribe so you won't miss my future tutorials, tips and tricks and videos just like this one. Number 1 is any kind of spot treatments before applying gel polish. No doubt that oils and creams, they're very good for our skin and our nails, but not before applying gel polish. If we will apply them, we will end up with a surface that's not possible to... Hello, if you would like to find out why gel polish might peel, crack or chip and how to fix that, this video is just for you. Anastasia. About 4 weeks ago I posted a video of top 10 mistakes of beginner nail techs and to ask her come wash her hands with a soap and then you can continue the service. If she would like to have some spa treatment, cuticle oil, etc., it's fine, but only after gel polish application. Also, sometimes cuticle removers prep for applying of the gel polish. To create a good adhesion, we always need a dry, clean surface, but if there is some oil or moisture in it, it just won't be possible. The same as if your client came and she just applied her hand cream on her hands, I would suggest